Hello there. So I am out in the garden, but just to do a little bit of seed starting, all of the seeds I am starting today are going to actually go inside under grow lights, but I thought I would just get them going out here in the garden so that when I'm spilling soil everywhere, it doesn't make a mess. And it is a very, very exciting day today because it is pepper starting day. And yes, there are just a ton of seed packets here because I am starting a lot of peppers, probably just like one or two of most of these, but I love peppers. I have fallen more and more in love with growing peppers each year. They're one of the plants that isn't as bothered by pests for me. They seem to be really tolerant to our heat and humidity. They just are always really happy plants, and they produce a lot of delicious food, and I actually like peppers a lot. So I've said before, I'm not really a raw tomato eater. I'll eat tomatoes if they're in sauces or things like that, but peppers I will just snack on. So that was kind of my plan with a lot of these. I'm gonna go quickly through all of the varieties and then we'll just get them all planted up. Peppers are one that can be a little bit slower, so I am starting them before my tomatoes. I'm planning to start my tomatoes probably next week, but right around mid-February here is the perfect time for me to get them started. We're about 8 weeks out from our last frost. I am kind of going on the later end of seed starting for my peppers this year, just because I want to make sure that it's really warm, it's really hot when I'm planting them out, and I'm not dealing with any of those like late frosts or anything causing any trouble for the peppers, because peppers are heat lovers and they want it to be summery when you're planting them out. So the first one that I have is a sweet pepper. It's a mini bell blend. Last year I picked up a little snack bell pepper from Home Depot, and I fell in love with it. I really enjoyed having just like a little tiny snacky pepper to run and grab and harvest. It was just basically just a snack. So I have a mini bell blend, and then I also have a snack bell red, and both of these are also kind of smaller plants. So I plan on growing those in containers, and they're just a bit like of compact plants. I got the baby hanging out with me here if you see me. They're a little bit of like compact plants, so that'll be good for containers, and that's where I want to grow them. I also have now, these are a compact plant as well. I'm kind of venturing this year into the world of sort of like the dwarf peppers. I've grown a lot of determinate and small micro tomatoes, and I'm kind of exploring the dwarf container pepper world. So I grabbed a pepper jalapeno. It's a jalapeno that stays smaller. I actually plan on growing these in my raised beds, but my raised beds are pretty small, so it's almost like a container. But yeah, it's like a jalapeno, but it just is a smaller plant, so it's not going to get as huge. Typical jalapeno plants can get pretty tall, 3-4 feet tall. So this is going to be a much more compact plant, so you could grow it in a container or just in a small raised bed like I am. I'm also going to grow this early flame jalapeno, which I have grown in the past as well. Another kind of container variety, container style jalapeno. And I just wanted to try two different varieties and sort of see what the difference is. Let's see how tall this one gets. This one has the details, I think, on the back. It doesn't say. Well, the picture says a container, and I'm sure when I was reading about it, it said that. I am going to grow a few taller variety peppers, more full-size peppers. So I have a garden salsa. This is just like a long, skinny, medium hot pepper. It just is supposed to be a really good pepper to add to salsas. And I'm hoping to make some of my own salsa this year, so I just thought it'd be nice to try. And on a similar vein, I've heard really good things about this Jimmy Nardello pepper. People just love it and say it grows really well for them. It's got exceptionally sweet, rich flavor, so you can use it as like chili or dried for paprika. Super prolific, and that's what I've heard, is that it's just a really prolific pepper. And I love to have some of these like really prolific varieties just to ensure that I get a huge harvest. sometimes it's nice just to have something that you know is going to really be a workhorse and produce and produce and produce. So that's why I got the Jimmy Nardello. And then I also am going to do one just classic banana, 1 or 2 banana peppers, and stick them in, I don't know, in a pot or in a corner, or maybe over at the garden plot. I'm not quite sure yet, but you always have to have banana peppers. For me, that's a staple in my garden. I have to have banana peppers. And let's see, I think I have a few more peppers that I'm starting. Oh, I am gonna do, let me grab these. I'm gonna do a couple jigsaw peppers. These are just really pretty. I thought they'd be kind of nice and decorative, almost like a coleus or something in containers, but then with a little bit of food as well. They are about as spicy as a jalapeno, and they're great for containers and borders because they are a smaller size plant, so a little more stocky and compact. So I think that'll be great for in a container and just kind of like stuck in with some flowers or something like that. And then I also have a habanada. So this is a really cool variety. It's like a habanero, but it doesn't have the heat. So it has the habanero flavor. I don't really know what the habanero flavor really is like, but I'm interested to try the habanada because, yeah, I don't like spice. So something that allows me to have that flavor and the whole pepper experience without all the heat is really cool. So I'm gonna do, I think, just one of these. As I said, I'm not going to be planting tons and tons of each of these varieties. I have a very small garden, but I'm going to fill it up with quite a lot of peppers, hopefully, because they are just becoming one of my favorite plants to grow. I'm just loving it. Okay, then I have a bunch of eggplants. Eggplants are also becoming a real favorite plant for me. I'm really enjoying having eggplants in my garden. I think they're beautiful, both kind of decoratively, and I've been enjoying eating them, throwing them into Mexican food dishes, throwing them into pasta sauces, just really enjoying them. So I have a bunch of different ones here. A couple full-size plants, and then again a couple more like dwarf container style varieties. So I have this Millionaire, which is a very early kind of full-size eggplant. So I liked it because it was an early producer. So this will be something to kind of get me started, get me into having eggplants to eat. I'm really excited to try it out. I think it's just a traditional kind of eggplant, but early and prolific. And then I have a White Knight. I grew these the first year I grew eggplants. These were the first eggplants I grew, and I loved them. They were so good, so prolific, just a really nice, easy size too, because they're sort of like a long, skinny eggplant, which is just a little bit easier to deal with. And some of the smaller fruits are nice too because they don't take as long to ripen. You know, the big eggplants just take forever to ripen. They can sit on your plant there for a long time as you're waiting and waiting and waiting for them to get to full size. But the White Knight, you know, it just doesn't take as long for them to get going and get to a size that you can harvest. So that's really fun. And then I also have, this one was just really cool and I thought it'd be fun in a container. This is a Turkish orange. Isn't that pretty? So kind of almost like a decorative sort of eggplant, but I thought it'd be, yeah, really beautiful in containers. 4-inch round fruits, just kind of striking. So that'll be interesting. And I just wanted to give it a try. And then I have, let's see, my last one. This is totally decorative. This is pumpkin on a stick. You see these in the fall, these like little pumpkins. They look like little pumpkins on a stick, but they're actually an eggplant. I think you pick them and dry them. So I'm gonna give it a go. I'm not quite sure. I gotta figure out like where those are gonna go, and I'm not quite sure how the whole process of harvesting them and drying them is going to go, but they were so cool, and I love growing eggplants, so I figured, you know what, why not stick a couple of these in a nook or cranny somewhere and see if we can just get that harvest. And then I have 2 dwarf container style eggplants. So one is the fairy tale eggplant. That's a 24-inch plant. It gets about 4-inch fruit, and so it just stays nice and small compared to your traditional size eggplants. 24 inches is definitely a bit smaller. And then I also have Patio Baby, which is another dwarf patio baby by the name you can tell it's 4 containers, so it's just going to be more of a compact plant and have just sort of a traditional looking little eggplants. But again, I don't mind the small fruit. You know, if I was really trying to produce tons and tons of food, maybe the small fruit wouldn't be the best way to go. But in my garden, it's more about having fun, and I like the sort of the quicker reward of having small fruit, because it's just ready to harvest and ready to go faster, and you get to have more harvest, and so that's more fun for me. You know, it's all about what you're doing for your garden and what you're looking for and what you need. But for me, yeah, just having smaller fruit, it's not a problem at all, and I don't mind that. Okay, then I'm going to start a couple things because I just had room in the seeds tray. I'm going to be starting all these in this little seed tray here in cups, and I had a space for a couple more cups. So I decided to do a little bit of millet. I needed to get this going anyways. This is a Purple Majesty millet, which will be a really beautiful decorative thing to have in the garden. And it's a really pretty kind of like deep dark red millet. I think it'll be a beautiful foliage plant, just gorgeous. They're kind of like a cucumber, kind of like a little, people call them mouse melons, because they do have a little bit of a melony quality. Honestly, they're more of a novelty than, like, we don't really eat a lot of these. They're fun to throw into salads and things, just kind of, yeah, for a novelty of it. But they're really cute vine. They are one that I like to get going early. I've tried to direct sow them and they just don't quite get up and going fast enough. So last year I tried to direct sow them and they never really happened. So this year I'm going to start them ahead of time, which is what I've done in the past, and that's always really worked well. So I'm just going to do a couple of those, and then another vine I'm starting, which also, this one also takes a little while to get started. Once it gets started, it takes off, and it's a huge, gorgeous vine, but it just takes a minute to get going. So I'm going to start some of this Black-Eyed Susan vine, and I thought this variety, this Blushing Susie, was just such a really interesting, beautiful variety. It's like a little bit different than the typical Black-Eyed Susan vines, which is yellow with a black center, but this has this really pretty pink, and these are sort of the tones and colors that I'm doing in the garden this year. So those should be beautiful. I'm going to do a couple of those. So my process is pretty simple. It's just how I'm starting all my other seeds. I have these little cups. I put drainage hole in each of them. I'm going to fill them with soil and plant in the seeds. Not too much to that, but then we'll just bring them inside, and I will put them under grow lights. I did do a video about my seed starting setup. All of these are warm weather things, and I'm not going to try to have them out here in the unheated greenhouse. Plus I also want to have them under some really just good grow lights so that they have all of the light that they need to grow. So let's get those all planted. You going to sit in your chair while I plant? That is all of the eggplants and peppers and a few other things all started and seeded. I'm going to take them up to the seed starting room and let them keep growing on. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye bye.